Hello, we're here to consider the article Just Sustainability, Social Justice, and Engineering Codes of Ethics by Cletus Brauer. The article and this lecture will make more sense if you first look at some of the engineering codes of ethics. They're on the course Blackboard site, or you can Google any of the societies listed here and find the codes on their websites. So what's the paramountcy clause, which I'll refer to as the PC? It's the statement that is usually at the beginning of most of the codes of ethics for engineers that states, engineers shall hold paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public. The idea is that this is not an optional consideration, but it's the paramount, the most important duty of ethical engineers, that they place the importance of safety, health, and welfare of the public above everything else. And of course, in some sense, you can see why safety, health, and welfare are so important, right? This case of a building collapse was both an engineering and an ethical failure. Turns out that some of the engineers had supposedly been designated for ethical training, so perhaps there were both ethical failures here as well as engineering failures. But now I want to consider the contrast between the language that's used in the PC, remember, paramount, that engineers shall hold paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public. I want to contrast that language with the language that's used about sustainability. So here are some examples. Engineers are encouraged to adhere to principles of sustainable development, or to consider environmental impact and sustainable development, or strive to comply with principles of sustainable development. Notice that this language is advisory. It's not as strong as the language about the duty to place the safety, health, and welfare of the public above everything else. In other words, it's presenting these as it would be good to do this, it would be desirable, one should consider environmental impact, and so on, but it's not represented as a full-fledged duty. So the question is, should that be different? Should sustainability be incorporated into the PC? Brauer considers a proposal by Mickelfelder and Jones, whom I'll refer to as M and J, that sustainability should be part of the paramountcy clause of engineering codes of ethics. M and J suggests that sustainability is a necessary condition for safety, health, and welfare, and that social justice is a necessary condition of sustainability. Therefore, by including sustainability in the PC, one would automatically also include social justice. So, where does this idea come from that sustainability would include social justice? Well, it appears to come from the Brundtland definition of sustainable development, which has three pillars: economics, environment, and equity. Those are the 3 points on the interior triangle in the diagram. Equity, or fairness, is social justice. So now what does Brauer have to say about M and J's proposal to include sustainability and thereby social justice in engineering codes of ethics in the PC? Well, Brauer agrees with M and J that engineering codes of ethics have generally been weak on social justice, and that they should address it, and that they should also address sustainability. But Brauer is critical of M and J on 2 grounds. One concerns what Brauer refers to as the critique of necessary conditions arguments, and the other is the critique of the relationship between social justice and sustainability that M and J use. So let's look at the first one, the critique of necessary conditions argument. The criticism is that incorporating something because it's a necessary condition will lead to a bloated conception of one's obligations. So Brauer thinks that to say that sustainability is a necessary condition of the paramountcy clause isn't by itself a good reason to include it in the PC. Many things are necessary conditions for safety, health, and welfare, and you can't include all of them in the PC. It would become unmanageable. It would become bloated. And there are some things that are necessary that engineers couldn't be responsible for. For example, it might be necessary for health that you don't have some inherited genetic defect, but that's not a responsibility of engineers. So the takeaway from this critique is that engineering codes of ethics should address what engineers are uniquely or in particular responsible for. And then the question becomes, do engineers have unique or special kinds of responsibility when it comes to sustainability? And why or why not? And we might think there's at least some good reason to think that there is some special responsibilities here because unlike, let's say, an inherited genetic code, there are many things that engineers do that clearly impact sustainability. So there's some plausibility to the idea that engineers might have some particular responsibilities in this area. In the next lecture, just sustainability number 2, we'll see what this image has to do with engineering and ethics.